It was interesting. It was very not weird as in bad weird, but so different than what we've done in the past of like there really is a different energy with just doing a table read. Like the first table read we did was over Zoom, and it was with everyone
Yeah, yeah.
reading over Zoom. And the difference is like
Mhm.
between sitting at a table with the people around you and like so like especially with the witches and with any of our lines where we say like double double toil and trouble at the same time.
Over
It's
Zoom, that was
weird.
impossible, first of
It was
all.
impossible over Zoom because I could hear you and Casey saying it at the same time, but I was not saying it at the same time as you guys because I was saying it for like it was weird. So it was very different, and I felt like it was enough to sort of get our bearings
Mm.
of like, okay, this is happening, this is a show that's happening, but it didn't really feel real until we were at the park rehearsing. And like, even though we were like even more than 6 feet, we were like 10 feet apart from each other just doing certain scenes, like it didn't feel like for me it didn't feel real. It didn't feel like this is going to happen, like this is
Yeah.
happening, this isn't just something I'm making up in my head, like this is happening, until we were in person at the gardens. I don't know if it was the same for you or not.
In the
um
gardens.
Not at the gardens, I'm so sorry, at the almost Basin Park.
Because I was gonna say, it actually for me, it didn't feel real. Like even in the beginnings of
Hmm.
even the first, it didn't feel real to me until we got to SB. Like I'm not going to lie to you.
Really?
Yeah, it took because I was always so like I was just on edge with how everything was going, just like with the city,
Hmm.
because I was just wondering, are we going to be able to, like, if anything
Yeah.
happened, I know it's not because of us, it's going to
Yeah.
be because of things outside of us. So I remember just always being like, like I don't know what's going to happen until like we get really close, is how
Yeah.
I would always felt about it. So
Yeah.
it
I
wasn't
will say, yeah, even who are we talking to? I think I was talking with Hunter about how like even when we were doing Tech Week at the gardens,
Mm.
we were like, this isn't happening. We're gonna get a call from Kelly or the city or whatever, and they're gonna say,
Yeah,
stop it.
put it
And
down.
we're not gonna go on. So it like genuinely, I mean, it started feeling like, okay, this is really happening when we were doing like full hair and makeup. And I was like, okay, like this is happening. Like I'm putting everything on and it feels right. It feels real. But even after that, like after that initial thing, I was still like, no, it's not real, it's not happening, until like opening night. And then once we started getting in the groove of doing the show and everything, it felt like, okay, we're smooth sailing, we're being overly safe, even like we're not doing the bare minimum, we're doing above and beyond.
Yeah,
Oh my god, I know.
get away, like get away,
Right.
you know.
I was somewhere, I had like a turtleneck on when it was cold, and I literally had the impulse to take my turtleneck and go whoop over my nose, like as we do, like it's such an impulse.
You know what I did yesterday? I
What?
I went to we got a quick dinner somewhere, and or maybe it was literally yesterday, the day before. I went to put my mask on,
Hmm.
and I don't, like, outside of the show, I have not worn the gaiter. Like I wear
Yeah.
like a mask like on the ears.
Yeah.
I instinctively, like yesterday, the day before, was about to put a mask on, and I went like this, and I didn't even have it on. Like I don't wear it, and I was like, what
Yeah.
did I just do? Like I couldn't believe that I did that. I couldn't believe I did
I
it.
think yeah, I was just like, I think I was talking with my parents or something, and I literally just went whoop, and I went to go pull my turtleneck over my face, because like with the turtleneck it's like, oh, it's there,
Yeah,
it's
you're
like,
like over here.
I was like, oh, I just look like someone who's very cold.
So, speaking of, I've never done outdoor theater
Me
before.
either.
My take on it. So I wanted to know, what was it like for you to do outdoor theater?
So it was also my first time, and I want to hear your thoughts too, because like you are more what's the word, learned actor, because you went and did your whole conservatory, like all that jazz in Ireland and everything. And I have not had any official professional schooling in this. So for me, I'm just like a wide-eyed new baby in this whole world. Like I've seen outdoor theater done. I saw Shakespeare in the Park at the Gardens in years past. I think the last one was 2014, I think. But I've seen outdoor theater done. I really enjoy it as a patron. I think it's really engaging in a way that traditional theaters aren't. It feels more organic, like you are able to inhabit the same space, whereas in like this specifically the gardens, it's a little different at the SB because there is that stage audience section. But like you think about it, in a black box in a traditional theater, you have the stage and then you have the audience members. But with the gardens and with outdoor theater, it's like, no, pretty much it's all the same. Like you're in the same area, you're inhabiting the same space. And so it felt, as an audience member, I went into it as an actor knowing that as an audience member I felt very connected to the audience or the actors, and very connected to the story in a way that I am not usually. And so I felt like it was a little bit like that. Like I felt like a little bit more like we were the entire audience and the actors were all inhabiting this space that we were creating. We were all in Scotland in like a more physical sense than just in kind of a like mental and emotional sense. So that's what I don't know. I really enjoyed doing it. As it being my first, huh?
Did you enjoy it more, say, than like in a traditional like theater, enclosed theater space, or?
I don't know if I do. I think there are benefits and there are drawbacks. Number one of the drawbacks being mosquitoes. Oh my God, I hate mosquitoes so much. I got eaten alive. But I think if I was to do Shakespeare, and Shakespeare in particular, Shakespeare or any more like older theater that is a little bit more difficult to access in the language of it. Right. Like Shakespeare, any really classical theater, I feel like it's easier to access when you're in this kind of organic space, and
Especially
sometimes you really want that closeness,
Mhm.
right? But with Shakespeare, it really is so big. It's
Mhm.
so larger than life that it's great to have a larger space to throw your voices into and all that. So,
And we're so used to seeing so many different iterations of these Shakespeare plays. It's almost like they can be done just about anywhere. Like you could set Macbeth, Macbeth, Joe is into. You
Joe,
could
we're pros.
set Joe, Macbeth in outdoors. We could have set it at the classic theater space. You could do Macbeth in a bathroom. I'm sure there are people who have done bathroom Macbeth. I'm sure there are people who have done, you know, car
Corporate takeover
corporate
Macbeth.
takeover. I was going to say McDonald's, like a Macbeth and McDonald's.
I would pay money to see that. I
So
would
like
do it.
we're so used to seeing it Shakespeare all over the place. In movies, Romeo plus Juliet, like
Mhm.
in cities and guns, and like you see Shakespeare everywhere and anywhere. And so I think it probably, yeah, it just anywhere you want to put it, it's going to work.
I mean, The Lion King is based off of Hamlet, you
Yeah.
know? So like you can get it anywhere. But how did you like the outdoor theater? I rambled so much about being outdoors, but I want to know what you think.
So initially, okay, so here's how my emotions went for it. Initially, I was so freaking excited. I was like, yes, outdoor theater. I want to do this. So cool. And then I actually got outside and I was like, no, bugs, dirt, and outside, trees, what? Ground. So like I was like not it was like there are bugs flying around me all the time and it's hot. That was when it was hot.
It was
So
hot.
it definitely was. I would say for me is that the initial rehearsal process was, I found difficult, just because it was a huge, acclimation process.
And we
Like,
were fighting the cicadas
mhm,
we were like screaming against the cicadas the whole time.
yeah. And I have been such an indoor cat actor that I've never had to deal with, I've been so, what's the word I'm looking for? I've been so
Pampered,
spoiled,
spoiled.
spoiled indoor cat actor that I've never had to be like, oh, the bugs. So it was just it was tough initially. But then once we got into it, it took me a good probably 10 days or so to like finally get like really used to it. But once we actually got into the latter part of the rehearsal process and then actually performing, oh my goodness, I loved it so much. Like I loved being outside.
And once it cooled down also, that was
Also, yeah,
beautiful.
once we started getting into like actual fall weather, like I would do it again. Like I would absolutely like jump on an outdoor show again. Um, again, the rehearsal process and the initial stuff was, I found, difficult.
It was a learning curve.
There was a learning curve,
It was
but
definitely a learning curve.
so rewarding. Like actually, like performing for an audience. 100.